You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver.
What the hell is that?
Podcast.
Well, it's Thursday, and we're going to do some Pittsburgh Piledriver podcasting. Hopefully, without interruptions from a would-be champion. Every once in a while, stupid Pat wants to stir the pot and cause problems. Well, here's a little behind-the-scenes info. Pat was showing up in the Discord, trying to do big dick swinging, but unfortunately, it ain't Vienna Sausage Day, so we had to give him the old bye-bye, sir. We showed him the door, put him in his place. You win a couple, stump the chumps. You win the Cruiserweight championship once. And you think you're just, you think you're, high Tom Titty. And I'm all for people winning the Cruiserweight championship. But look, unless you're a multi-time champion or you've held on to it for 1,000 days, Pat Reigns, Roman Maniac, Dingle Dangle, I got Spurs, Jingle Jangle, you ain't shit. Beef, he held on to it for a long time. He's the shit. Tom held on to it for a long time. He's the shit. Poot, I think, was the first ever, or still is the longest reigning Cruiserweight champ. The first ever longest reigning is what I mean. So he held the belt for a long time, so he's the shit. Pat, you're out. You're not in the category with these folks. Okay? I'm not either, but I am the longest reigning herald and advocate there has ever been. So that still stands for something. I mean, it's not great, but it's something.
You're the best herald that's ever been. And I kept waiting for you when you were kicking Pat out of here to go, like, Pat, we wish you well in your future endeavors. I kept waiting for a future endeavoring.
Show up one more time during this recording, Pat, and I will future endeavor you right out of our Discord. In any case, I've prattled on long enough about this would-be so-called fake-ass champ, Pat, mid-card maniac. Fuck him. Let's actually talk about people that matter, and then let's talk about some wrestling. Speaking of people that matter, Tiger Bomb Tom is here, Poot the Bard is here, Beef the Legend is here, and we're going to do Wrestle Talks. I think there's been a lot of stuff that's gone down recently, so let's go ahead and get into it.
I think we should talk about, and I think Beef, I know Beef would like to talk about this. It has been 100% confirmed for AEW cauterization or whatever they call it, collision, that CM Punk is returning to AEW. It is.
Oh, hold on, let me get my blankie and my binky so I can go ahead and take a nap time because yawn. Big who cares?
I thought for sure Beef was gonna crucify me when I gave him the super meh in our chat.
Big who cares?
You overestimate how much I think about you, Tom. Anyway, all the things.
Geez,
I don't estimate anything about what you think of me. I could give a shit less.
Oh, Tom. Out of all the things that have happened this week, Poot chooses to dwell on the one that's going to divide us and be negative. Instead, I, the Cruiserweight champion, want to start with talking about the pay-per-views. It's a real thing. Fact.
Not a real thing.
Because we had a lot of wrestling. No, I mean, we can start with Punk. But first, before we do anything else, it is only fair that we give the standings. Now, these Cruiserweight standings are up to date. And I believe...
And bullshit.
Unless something changes, I think we only have one more event, and that is going to be Forbidden Door. So...
Well, I'm out.
What date is that?
June 20-something. No, that's something different. June 20-something.
Okay, I was going to say, because we agreed on Great American Bash, and I can't remember when that is. I want to say that's
I think that's in July.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Happy July.
So yes, I believe that Forbidden Door will be the last one. That is on June 25th of 2023.
Goat and a pig.
So, damn it! That's the fucking first day of my vacation. Oh well. So here are the standings with one event left.
Oh, gosh.
Tentatively. In the forefront, the man who had a perfect double or nothing, Jimmy from Dos Hermanos Luchas with 98 points. Following him closely is Pat with 91, much to my chagrin. Dave has 87 points. Dave is always one that like hangs around till the last event. I am in the conversation. I'm in the conversation with 86. I think that this is Jimmy's to lose though. Amber is also tied with me with 86, but again, we know how Amber functions. She is absolutely going to, eat her own head on this event and call
She's gonna choke
crazy.
at the 11th hour. Is that what it's gonna be?
Yeah, exactly. And then Tom has 78, which is passable.
Terrible. It's terrible. Shut up. Don't patronize me. Don't patronize me.
I mean,
no,
I wouldn't stay still in the running. 20 points is a lot, man. Poot has 72 points.
Yay!
And Ransom has 65 points.
Out of it.
So listen,
that's where we stand.
I shit the bed on some picks because I went out on a limb. Like I picked Styles. I did that. That was like but the fact again that we could have the conversation and that picking Styles was not a complete dumb fuck move. It was like, oh, that's a stretch, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. I think the fact that that's good in have in WWE. You know what I mean? But I did really well on AEW. I did really well. I think I did well, and I'm proud of just consistent picks.
Nobody did terribly on Double or Nothing.
Somebody dial 911. Who's gonna need a doctor to reattach his arm from patting his own fucking back?
I don't even remember what
Call
the fuck
me Barry
I picked.
Horowitz, motherfucker.
I was at a fucking music festival all weekend long. So I didn't watch anything until like Memorial Day.
How was the music fest, by the way?
It was good.
Music podcast.
Yeah.
No, Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast.
Okay. Take 2 seconds to say, did you have fun? But
yes.
Good. You had fun. I'm glad. But those are the standings. Those are all the picks. Is there anyone who threw in picks at the last moment that has like 20 points or 5 points?
No. Everything's going just as it should be. So yes, not to bury the lead, Pooter. You are correct. Last night it was announced on Dynamite that on the debut episode of Collision, CM Punk will be returning.
Oh, I know something we can pick for this month's picks.
Yes.
We can pick how long it's going to take for CM Punk to self-destruct and go away again. I'll wager all my points because guess what? It's gonna fucking happen.
All right. I'm going to say my piece and be done with it.
Please come at me with this whole, oh no, I think they worked out a deal. He's going to be fine. Him and Tony are going to know what's going on. Waddle, whittle, waddle.
I'm going to say my piece and be done because I am on an island and that's fine. You're right. I may not be. I don't give a fuck. Listen, if
tell me how all the things are going to be different.
If you
this
historians
time, for the 5th time in the world.
If
tell me how it's gonna be different.
Historians want to dwell on the past, CM Punk leaving in 2014, which again I think was totally justified. And again, I will say if CM Punk did not leave in 2014, Daniel Bryan would not have had a main event shot at WrestleMania 30. All that being said, if you historians want to dwell on that and say, oh, Punk walked out, Punk turned his back on Punk lost his smile, whatever, that's fine.
Because he definitely didn't do that after either.
I'm fine with that.
Definitely didn't self-destruct in AEW either.
Following up on All Out, Punk did not walk away. Punk got hot on a live mic. Absolutely. Punk said some shit that he shouldn't have said. Absolutely. But that's what CM Punk does. He is a fucking lightning rod. He is a magnet, and he is going to get viewers for Collision. That's not my point. My point here is that he didn't walk away after All Out. CM Punk.
I was going to hedge bets on him walking away. I said him self-destructing.
I know, but I've heard it. I have heard it all. CM Punk, and I'm going to clear the record. CM Punk didn't walk away. CM Punk's been hurt. CM Punk is finally cleared and ready to go. CM Punk was probably asked not to be around because of a very volatile situation that Tony Khan fostered and allowed to happen. I think Tony Khan has learned his lessons. Kind of. MJF still kind of goes off with the mouth, and no one wants to come at him. But whatever. My point remains. Actually, I guess my point with this is that CM Punk didn't walk out after Double or Nothing. He's only walked out on a company one time, WWE, whenever bullshit was happening. That being said, I think that him being back for Collision is smart because he is absolutely going to garner views. Whether you love him and you're like, yeah, CM Punk's my guy and I'm excited to see him, or whether you're like Ransom and you're like, he's just going to self-implode again. And you're sitting there watching for the car crash. The same fucking people that watch NASCAR for the car crashes are going to watch CM Punk to see what happens with them. Maybe it happens. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Because absolutely, Punk's a hothead. And when you give Punk a live mic, you are absolutely taking a risk. But again, that's what you're paying him for.
All right, okay.
Can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. Because, like the historians that Beef has mentioned, there are that group that can't seem to get Punk's dick out of their mouth long enough to have a rational thought. And I can't wait for his next self-destruction, which is gonna happen because look at the history books, okay? This dude has been self-destructing since he was on the indies. Maybe a little bit less on the indies, but as time goes on, his self-destructions get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. His most recent one, where he hasn't even been back yet. He fucking popped off like a lunatic on Meltzer and Jericho on fucking Instagram or Twitter or whatever those dumb social media things that I don't follow because I don't have time. Lost his ever-loving shit. Lost his ever-loving mind.
Absolutely.
Show your work. So that's another
Give me 2 months and I'll show my work. Whenever he's facing Jericho at All In or All Out, I will point this and go, it's clearly a work.
Well, to the same hand, in a few months, whenever he gets pissed off at somebody and loses his mind and blows up on social media or blows up in a post-game conference, and then someone gets suspended along with him, or he's, hurt and suspended, but not really suspended because he's hurt and blah, blah, blah. In any case, Punk, I give it less than a year. I give it less than a year to where one of these things happen. He blows up and gets mad and grouchy and grumpy pants and mouths off when he really should just shut the fuck up and stay off Twitter or Instagram or whatever, Donald Trump of wrestling. Or not say it on a live mic, Donald Trump of wrestling. Maybe you should just figure it out behind the scenes like a grown-ass boy. That's going to happen. Or he's going to be so wildly upset about, this isn't going like I thought. No, and you didn't bring back my best friend. And somebody kicked my dog and blah, 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 blah. And he just fucking quits. Or he tries some sort of bullshitty bullshit that he shouldn't be bullshitting. Dear God, can you fix your car alarm? Like, fucking figure it out. Who's trying to steal your 1996 Chevy Cavalier?
Yeah.
Shut it off. Or he tries some dumb bullshit thinking that he's CM Punk and that he's the big tits around town when he's fucking ancient and, let's face it, not good in the ring anymore. And he tries some stupid-ass move and fucking hurts himself again. Then goes to a post-game interview and goes, oh, I'm fucking working with bullshit. And I got children here and I'm fucking hurt and old and tired. It'll be less than a year. He won't be in AEW for over a year before he's hurt and mad, just mad, or quit because he's mad. That's the fucking CM Punk recipe. Look it up in the recipe book. It's a fucking CM Punk recipe. Mad, hurt, angry, gone, kicked my dog, gone. That's just funny. That's what he fucking does.
So,
hey, Poot, heard you got a new guitar. That's awesome. Hey, Tom, I see you're streaming a new game. That's awesome. Hey, Ransom, I see that, you have a new job. That's awesome. Congratulations. I'm a good friend. Nope. Beef, we see that you're excited about this one thing. Let's punch it in the mouth till it's dead. Let's exhume the body, punch it in the mouth some more, bury it again, and then one last time, just so that we can sit here with our peaked eyebrows and go, you do this to us all the time. Punch it in the mouth one more time till it's dead.
Beef.
Disagreeing with you about wrestling has nothing to do about how I feel about you as a friend. You are a great friend, and I would do anything for you.
Well, I love you too.
I can't full well support this, CM Punk pom-pom cheerleader bandwagon. I can't do it, mainly because I've seen it happen before.
Okay.
Go ahead, Pootie.
Okay. As always,
don't fucking Switzerland this.
As always, I'm gonna be the Swiss Superman here. However, it's not the way going like, well, Ransom's right, but Beef's right. I think what they're gonna do. I think enough people.
Bless you.
Thank you. I think I'm getting a sinus infection, so we'll see how that goes.
Not good.
Yeah, not good. But I really think that what we're gonna see is like Beef said, the thing on Twitter with Jericho and who was the other fuckery do? Meltzer. Okay. I really believe that I'm on Beef's side on this one. I think that's a work. I don't think, though, my concern, I don't think it's going to be him and Jericho at Wembley. I was thinking about Wembley. I'm concerned that what they're going to do is they're going to have Punk versus MJF, and there's an outside chance they're going to have Punk win. I personally think that they should have Punk MJF, but they should have MJF go over, and it would just be glorious and fantastic. But nonetheless, that's neither here nor there. I think they're going to lean into this. I think they're going to lean into this whole like, all right, Punk, you know what? Let's you've been so controversial. You shot off at the mouth. You've done all this. I think they're going to lean into this. I think everybody who's going to be involved in any angle with Punk is really well in the know, and they're going to be like, okay, we're going to shoot some, we're going to each suffer the slings and arrows here, but we're going to make all the money in the universe. I really think they're going to use the fact that Punk is so volatile. I think they're going to lean into Punk being a heel this time because there is so much, either negative or wary press about Punk coming back. There's a lot of skepticism, at least from what I see from people. I know there's a lot of people who are excited, and honestly, rightfully so. There's a reason that the man has the theme song, The Cult of Personality. He is. And I remember whenever he came back the first time, when he debuted, and they kicked off the show and went, okay, here you go, here's CM Punk. I got goosebumps when he jumped into the crowd. Whenever he had the dog collar match with MJF, and he came out to Miseria and Cantare, the AFI song, and he was in his old gear, I got goosebumps. Like, he has that gravitas. And is the tread worn on the tires? Yes. but I don't think that he can't wrestle anymore. I don't think he can't. It's not that. He just has to be in there with someone who can carry the lion's share of the work and help him tell a good story at this stage in his career. We were talking about this whenever I was watching with my buddies Sean and Zach. We were watching the event, and we were pointing out the fact that like Jeff Jarrett looks like $1 million fucking bucks. Jeff Jarrett, yeah, is he going to, go Broadway and do like a 30, 45 minute match? No, he's not on his own. No, but he's having fun. He still looks like $1 million and he can still go. He doesn't need necessarily one person to like carry him to a good match. But then again, I don't think he was ever as injury riddled as Punk was. I mean, and also Punk's just not. Anyway, I'm getting off track. My point is with Punk is that, yeah, he's not as good as he once was, but he's as good once as he ever will be. Like, okay, I really believe that. What? What'd you say?
I said okay, Toby Keith.
Well, it's true though. You put Punk in there with a young talent who can go, he's going to put on a good match because he has enough tread left on the tires. He still has the ability. And he's going to be able to tell a story with them, especially on the mic. If both people going into that are like, hey, we're going to say some shit to each other, but this is professional. This is to tell a story, to get heat. None of this is personal. I really think this time him coming back, he's willing to play ball and he's willing to work and he's willing to go like be part of the business and the roster and storylines. I really do, because if he doesn't, that's it. Because
why
there's
this
so
time
much
of all the times do you feel like he's ready to play ball?
I just feel like because there's no goodwill left if he doesn't. And I think Punk might be a hothead, but he is smart. He's not dumb. There is so much money to be made here for him and for AEW and for everybody that it makes no sense for him to throw himself on the sword, because AEW has been doing just fine without him. MJF has flourished and he has become the figurehead of that company. He is a good heel. He's a good time. And like, they don't need him. And I think that's something that's been proven. When Punk left, I think he had a little bit of that puff out of being like, well, see how you do without me. Just fucking fine. And that's the thing is I go, money talks, man. Money absolutely talks. Like, with him at the helm, him doing or not at the helm, but like him involved in these storylines, doing this stuff. I really think that there's so much money to be made, and he sees that, and they've had enough discussions. And like Beef said, I feel like they're coming to him and going, listen, here's the deal. You fuck around, you're going to find out one more time. We're going to let you go. We're going to get you out. You're done. And they don't, and like, I think it's proven that it's one of those things where like, they don't need him. He will be a benefit, but they won't need him. Does that mean he's not going to implode? No, we don't know what's going to happen. And Punk is, Punk can, who knows? Maybe he will, but hopefully he will play ball and he will have a nice glide down to the end of his career versus crashing and fucking burning.
Look, all joking aside, my earlier rant was, a little bit to get, some people wound up. You know who you are, and I love you. But all joking aside, I hear what you're saying. I hear what Beef's saying. I just don't know what's going to be different this time. Like, of all the other times where he's stuck his foot in his mouth, said stuff that he shouldn't have, gotten real mad, I don't know what's going to be different this time. I just don't know if there's going to be a conversation that anybody could have with him to make him go, ooh, you know what? Maybe they don't need me. Like, I don't think he's dumb. I do think he's smart when it comes to, the money aspect of the business. But I think his ego trumps, pun intended, all of those other things. because just of what I've seen in the past from him. The things that he's said, the times that he pops off of the mouth, the times that he freaks out and gets all cranky and says shit he shouldn't say or writes shit that he shouldn't write. I think it's an ego thing. And I just don't know what's going to be different this time. I hope it is. I mean, I truly do. But I have doubts that, like, this time he's going to come back and go, oof, you know what? I was really kind of a dick in the past. Like, yeah, probably, these things were weighing on my mind, but I probably shouldn't have said them in front of a camera. Probably shouldn't have posted them on social media. Probably should have handled it backstage. You know what? From here on out, if I have any issues, I'm going to handle it like a man, away from the public eye. It's going to be calm. It's going to be productive. And we'll squash any issues before they blow up. I just don't know why now is all of a sudden the time where he's going to go ahead and become rational. I hope I'm wrong. I do.
Tom, what do you think?
So my thought is along with Ransoms and a little bit with Poots, where I absolutely expect Punk to self-destruct again. I don't see how it's going to end up different. I hope that for his sake, that it is different, because I don't see. I mean, if he burns his bridges with AEW here, I don't think WWE is going to want him back. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. It would really that comes down to all the X's and O's and the dollars and cents and, whatever, all that shit. But I will, how should I say this? I'll enjoy the product, but I will reserve my skepticism waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, I don't know. It's if he puts on a good match, I'll give him all credit where credit is due. That's all well and fine. But I mean, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, smells like a duck, tastes like a duck, it's probably a duck. So I have a hard time believing that CM Punk can get out of his own goddamn way to not self-destruct. And like, honestly, if he really wanted to, I look at it this way. It was how long? It's been what, almost a year now since the whole fucking brawl out at All Out. I don't know if there were, I don't know what legalities were involved, if there was NDAs involved or anything like that. Maybe there were, and maybe that's why nobody's really come out and said anything on it, from either side, from Punk or the Elite side. But I really, really hope not only Punk, but I hope Tony Khan, has learned something from that and takes a good long hard look at how he handled things from that whole situation, and and is better prepared for something like that. Now, I will disagree with something that Beef mentioned, and I'm not. I was kind of half paying attention because it's hard to really tune in to the sound of somebody sucking on CM Punk's balls all day long, but but for anybody that's trying to say that compare what CM Punk did with the whole brawl out situation to shit that MJF says. Look, MJF, he's consistently in character. There have been times where, and it's few, very, very few and far in between, but if you look hard enough and deep enough on the fucking interwebs, you could find a video or a soundbite or something of MJF not being, a total D-bag heel. But he's in character. Punk, that was a whole different situation. Now, as long as MJF toes the line, if Tony, I'm sure if Tony Khan says, hey, you can't do this or whatever, I'm sure MJF is gonna, toe that line and walk very, very close to it. But the big difference is there is a big difference between the shit with Punk and anything that you might see MJF doing or saying. So anybody that wants to draw that comparison, I say you obviously have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. But that's how I look at it. I'll enjoy the product while it's here, whether Punk's in it or not. I hope he puts on a good product. I hope he's back and ready to do that then. Hope he's ready to go. And let's hope he doesn't get injured again. But I won't be holding my breath for far too long, waiting for what seems to be the inevitable to happen yet again.
I really think we could sit here and keep beating the dead horse on Punk, but let's not beleaguer the fact any longer than we have to, because there was a shit ton of good wrestling this past weekend, like a lot. We had a lot of really good. There was, as we said, there's a lot of awesome wrestling things that happened this past weekend, and I wanna bump set the ball back over. So he can spike it to our wrestling encyclopedia. And you know what? I'll even give this our Cruiserweight champion.
As you should.
Thank you, Poot.
I
mean, first of all, it's nice to hear Ransom say that Pat's fucking championship is a farce, and it's nice to hear Poot call me the Cruiserweight champion. I know what's real.
Listen,
so yeah,
real friends tell you the truth. They don't need to fill your head with beleaguered lies.
I know, and that's why Beef's telling you that he's the Cruiserweight champion.
I mean, honestly, if I'm being real, this is probably just Jimmy's belt. We're probably just keeping it warm for him. But
hashtag anybody but Pat.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, there was lots of good stuff this weekend. There was some not so great stuff either. And I think it's fair whenever we sit here and run down WWE for having like schlocky, gimmicky, run-in plagued shows that we also, give to AEW.
Yeah, tell me what happened with that.
Well, it was. I don't think that it was as bad as everybody wants to make it seem. I don't think that it was doom and gloom, the worst pay-per-view since December to Dismember, all of this. I mean, I think that WWE stands are working double time. First, that promotional picture of Eddie Edwards and AEW Fight Forever. Yeah. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, look how terrible this looks." Hey, guess what? A, it was from a previous build. B, it was an awkward fucking screenshot. They released a video of it. Looks fine. Looks fucking great. WWE stands are working real hard, and I don't know what it is with like the WWE diehards that will it's WWE or the highway. Like, they will actively go to groups, to fan pages, and just shit all over other products. I don't get that kind of tribalism. That's why WWE sucked for 15, 16 years.
Oh!
That's why WWE sucked a big fat dick. Because there was nobody to compete with it. So, to actively root against the first competition in 20 years, I think is foolish. All that being said, AEW Double or Nothing was not the crown jewel that it has been in the past. And I mean, realistically, Double or Nothing has never been the big show. Their WrestleMania style show is All In or All Out. Revolution has always been the great show of the year. That's always the best wrestling show, the best, just the best show. Period. Full Gear is always a show that like feels like it does well with transition, but Double or Nothing is always kind of I don't want to say always, but Double or Nothing for the past couple of years has really felt kind of like hit and miss. So all that being said, like yeah, there were some bad parts for whatever reason. Chris Jericho and Adam Cole weren't able to find that gear that they needed to find.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it was just a bad booking. I don't know if the fact that it was up against a card of other really interesting and fun matches. I don't know what the case was, but like Jericho is probably one of the greatest to ever do it. Adam Cole is an amazing wrestler of today. Like there is no reason that these two should not have been able to bring down the house, and it just missed. We've talked about that before. Sometimes it just misses. They had a perfectly serviceable mixed tag match last night between Jericho and Saraya versus Cole and Britt Baker. I thought it was probably better than the pay-per-view match, and I think that I'm not the only one. So, like, yeah, and I mean that happens sometimes. Sometimes you just go out there and you fart in church.
Yeah, it's not like wrestling, and that's the other thing I think we failed to take into account is that like wrestling is not all wine and roses all the time.
Right.
It's just not.
And
like
I think the other thing is that people expect AEW to be outstanding all the time on pay-per-view because they have been. If you want to talk, actual like fucking real life, like people feel like if I'm paying, $50 for this, it better be good, and usually it is. Usually they're like, yeah, this is fucking great, bell to bell, this is great. And it was not great. I think it was good. I think it was one of the worst pay-per-views AEW's put out, but I think it was still good.
Wow, you really thought it was that bad?
So there are a few AEW pay-per-views that I hold in lower regard. Because again, AEW hits it out of the park on pay-per-view every single time that they go on air. There's never been a show that I looked at and goes, that was okay. And for the majority of this show, that's what it was. The tag match was, that was okay. I get it. It was a well-worked match, but it was okay. The ladder match was a ladder match, for better or for worse. That's, and I mean, that's the other half of things is that, like, I think that ladder matches now, the more that we see ladder matches, the more that, like, a standard ladder match is just going to pale in comparison. Because no one's doing insane shit. And Wardlow was still doing some pretty insane shit off of the ladders. It just, it felt like it was just there. Maybe it was buried in the card because there was a lot of fucking gimmicks. I don't know. The Battle Royal was a lot of fun. I said it in the chat. I think that it was one of the best Battle Royals I've seen because Battle Royals are often very difficult to execute.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I thought that the way that they started it with a lot of stuff happening all over the place was a lot of fun. And then, like,
the way they ended it was awesome.
Absolutely. But I like the fact they were, like, casually, mixing in talent. Everybody didn't start the ring at the same time, even though you're supposed to. Like people kind of went in as they needed to, and to ensure that everybody kind of got their spotlight that they needed. I think that they interweaved about 6 or 7 different really good feuds that are happening, and just everything kind of went off without a hitch, man. And yeah, like you said, the end was great. The right guy won, but the right like 4 guys there at the end were the guys who should have been there. I think that so to me, where the thing kind of fell was Hayter versus Storm. I think that when you hear Jamie Hayter versus Tony Storm, you're like, this is gonna be a fucking incredible match. And then we had the whole will they won't they for 2 weeks leading up. And here's the thing with that. I understand Jamie Hayter's hurt. I get that. And that's fine. That happens. You can't control that. Nobody can control that. But if you know that she's hurt and not 100%, as opposed to going out there and putting on a farce this beat down, overbooked nonsense. Have her relinquish the title. I'm not saying it had to be an interim title situation again, because that's not fair to Tony Khan. But have her be like, I can't defend it. Britt, take my place. Or Tony Khan, who like get his airtime anymore, have him come back on the Dynamite before and be like, Jamie Hayter can't defend. Ergo, we're putting 4 women in the match. Boom, done. I think for the flagship women's title to be defended and lost in such a way was, I think, kind of the pit of that show. And it did rebound nicely, like, with surprisingly enough, Taya Valkyrie and Jade Cargill. That was Jade's best match to date, and it was a good to great match. Not a good to great match because not a good to great Jade Cargill match. It was a good to great match. Period.
It was okay.
Wow.
I wasn't impressed. I'm not trying to be divisive on purpose, Beef, and I'm really not. But like I'm just like I watched it and I was absolutely going. She looks the nice thing about I will say this about Jade Cargill is that every match I watch I go she's gotten better. Every single one.
I mean, this was like this was leaps and bounds better. Like there weren't any botches. It felt organic and it really felt like Taya had a shot, which led to the return of Chris Statlander and her winning the title, which again, great timing. I'm here for it. It was a great decision.
Yeah.
That
all right, fair. No, fair. The Statlander return was huge. That was awesome.
That I think really started to turn things around because then the Pillars match was match of the year, at least one of the matches of the year, probably up there with Walter versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre, and some matches I probably haven't seen in Best of Super Junior. And then the Anarchy in the Arena match was fucking awesome. Again, like, Blackpool Combat Club and Elite, to me, in the ring, can really do no wrong. I think they all know what parts they play, and they play them well.
Yeah.
From everything from the band going into a third verse of Wild thing to people loving it to, just really brutal stuff. The exploding super kick. There was a lot of really cool stuff that happened in that match.
How the hell did that happen? Like because obviously I didn't watch that show. The only shows I watched over the weekend were Night of Champions and NXT Battleground, which I watched obviously both after the fact of them happening. So,
just like like a flashbang firework on his foot that he hit, and a lot of fun, a lot of fun stuff. So yeah, I mean, like the back half of that pay per view pulled its weight, but the front half wasn't the best, I don't think.
I heard that you said Snapdragon.
I'll give you that. I don't know. I think maybe I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was an enjoyable pay-per-view, but you're kind of right about it. But the thing is, you said it was an okay passable pay-per-view. And if people are sitting there going, this was garbage, this wasn't a good AEW pay-per-view, it was only okay. If okay is the worst thing they're gonna do, I'm satisfied.
I think you also have to think about it too. Like, I feel like we've been conditioned, and again, this is an us problem, not an AEW problem. I think we've been conditioned to expect barn burner after barn burner after barn burner, because that's what we have gotten for the most part. I do apologize. That's what we've gotten for the most part out of AEW pay-per-views. How many times have we watched an AEW pay-per-view over at Beef's, and we're all leaving, and we're out in this parking lot afterwards, and we're like, man, I can't believe they did it again. Like, holy cow, I never expected them to be able to pull off another one. So, sure, I think there are going to be some where we look at it and go, like, it wasn't their best. But at the same time, we've been conditioned to expect AEW to put on immaculate, can-do, no-wrong pay-per-views, because I think for the most part, that's what they've done. You know, I think it's, and again, I think, I'm hesitant saying this, but like back in the day, I feel like we were conditioned to expect more out of WWE than what we feel we got, because there were some really great pay-per-views that they have had in the past, and we compared the WWE of the late Vince McMahon era, not that he has passed, but like of his late, you know what I mean. We compared those pay-per-views to like pay-per-views in the Attitude Areola, pay-per-views that AEW were putting on, where like, boy, it's just, at best I was whelmed. And again, I think part of that might have been that's an us problem, because we had certain expectations and those expectations weren't met. So like, yeah, I can't poo-poo AEW for putting on a good, not great pay-per-view, because I think the standards are way, way up there. And they're not always going to meet them. Like, you can't, and that's the same thing with anything. Like, if the standards are so high, no matter what you're doing, whether it's job, wrestling, whatever, you're never going to be able to meet those standards every single time if those standards are so freaking high.
Tom?
I mean, again, I didn't see the pay-per-view, so I really have nothing to contribute on this matter. So hit me up whenever we start talking Night of Champions.
Well, I think it's just in general. Like part of it is this pay-per-view, but Ransom's also speaking in generalities here.
Well, yeah, just in the same way for so long that we had been conditioned to expect shitty WWE pay-per-views or whatever, and then when we go, oh, you know what, for a B pay-per-view or whatever, for one of the ones that's not one of the big four, you know, that was pretty good, or you know, it's a pleasant surprise. Whereas, you know, in this case, it's a not so pleasant surprise. I'm looking at the card though. I'm looking at the lineup, and if this is the order that the stuff went in, I was kind of surprised by some of the placement, some of the booking that they had with like where the women's title match was and everything like that, and compared to like Jade Cargill's match, like the fact that you had the AEW Women's World Championship go on before Jade Cargill with the TBS Championship, like that seems kind of weird and wonky to me. I don't know.
Maybe they did that just because they knew that she was hurt and it wasn't going to be like a banger of a match. So
maybe, yeah. And to that point, if that's the case, and if they knew that was the case, you know, like per Beef's suggestion or whatever, why not put you know, make a triple threat or a fatal four way or something like that for the you know, for the title or whatever. Like, I don't know. There's ways they could have worked around it. Hindsight's always 20/20, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. I'm sure they'll bounce back, and Forbidden Door will probably tear the house down. I'm sure. You know, I'm sure the next one after that will be good too. All In at whenever they go over there to the UK, which by all accounts they're pretty much like, I would say like 3/4 of the way of full capacity. I mean, they're damn nearing their sellout territory right now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And
who was the woman that Beef said came back in the Jade Cargill match, Poot?
that was Chris Statlander.
Yeah, Chris Statlander. She to in case you forgot who she was, she used to run around with best friends in Orange Cassidy. She kind of did the alien boop thing for a while.
Your favorite alien or like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did they wind up putting her? Like, how does she get inserted into that match? Because I completely missed that.
Well,
like, was she
It was the Cargill match. Everything went off with it. Cargill retained, and then
so this was like a separate match altogether.
Yes, it was Cargill retained, and then who's the guy who's her manager?
Smart Mark Sterling.
Yeah, Smart Mark Sterling. He was there, and he said, "No one, there's no one left." Blah 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 blah. He basically said like everybody who's, who was is no longer. She's beaten everybody. And then Chris Statlander's music hit, and because this is a topic of discussion that I would like to have sometime. There are a few AEW bangers, music-wise, but we don't recognize people's music in AEW. Right. We don't.
For a select few.
Yeah, it's one of those things. That's something that kind of bothers me about AEW a little bit. But yeah, the music hit and everything, and everyone was kind of like, oh, okay, who's this human being? Is it someone debuting? Is it this? And it was Chris Statlander, and the place popped really hard because Statlander is really cool. Like, Statlander's good, and she's needed a rub for a while, and she came out and admittedly fought Jade Cargill after she had a match, and she won. And won the belt off of Jade Cargill, giving also Jade Cargill her first loss.
Yeah. So did they ever utter the words like open challenge or what have you? Like, because the fact that
no.
Okay. So yeah. See that kind of booking. I mean, I'm glad to see Chris Statlander back. I've been wanting to see her back in action for quite some time. I've been a big fan of hers for a while now, and it sucked to see her have to go through an injury and then pretty much the same injury again.
Yeah.
And I always thought like she would have made a very good TBS champion, and eventually a good women's champion one day. But I don't like the idea of just ham-fisting the fucking title to her, because now it seems like Jade's loss, it makes it seem less than it's not as big of a deal that somebody finally beat her, because it was after the fact of her already having a match with somebody else. It's one thing, whatever, if you saw somebody doing that with a Money in the Bank cash in because it was an opportune time sort of thing, and that's what's to be expected of that whole vehicle with having that contract and anything like that. But the fact that Chris Statler just came back and it's just like, oh hey, here you go, it just doesn't make sense. I know with pro wrestling we have to, there has to be a suspension of disbelief or belief or whatever. I get that, but you still gotta try to make it sense. You still have to tell a good story, and that is a perfect example of something in writing that they call Deus Ex Machina, machinery of God. Whenever all of a sudden, your hero's in an absolutely unavoidable situation and death is imminent, and then all of a sudden the perfect seam of events happen, one right after the other, in an instant to save the day, and everything is all hunky-dory again. I don't like that. I don't like when it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Deus Ex Machina is hard, but I think it was a good. I think it was more of a platform, honestly, to move Jade Cargill onto other things. And I think it was also, like I had said whenever we did the picks, and then I think it was also a good way to give Chris Statlander a solid kick in the ass, because people already are on her side, and it gave her a returning rub. This is not the first time we've seen this happen in pro wrestling. We've seen it happen numerous times before.
But what would have made more sense is not having her come back then on the pay-per-view, wait until last night on Dynamite, then come out, have Jade come out with Mark Sterling, and and it doesn't have to be a long promo, but she can puff her chest, do whatever, and say, there's nobody left. I challenge anyone to come prove me wrong or whatever, and make it like an open challenge. Just say like, well, I'll make an open challenge to anybody because I've already beaten everybody else in the back. Do we got anybody that from another company get somebody in here? Like, give me a challenge, and then have Chris Statlander come out and beat a fresh Jade Cargill and make it mean more for Chris Statlander's victory and for Jade's defeat.
Well, the thing is, it's not making it mean more for Jade's defeat. The key here, it gives Chris Statlander a rub, and it also keeps Jade Cargill strong because she got beat after she had a pretty intense match. That's kind of the point.
I get the whole Jade thing, like trying to keep her looking strong, but I don't think you need to try to keep her looking strong when she went undefeated for so damn long. Like I don't know how you don't really need to try to make her look any stronger. I don't think her losing to Chris Statlander, a couple nights later on Dynamite would have made her look any less than. I think it would have just it would have given Chris Statlander an even bigger rub and mean more. And that's fine if everybody has to eventually lose. That's fine if Jade lost that one time out of fucking 500 or whatever, it doesn't make Jade look any less than if they would have done that, on a Dynamite or something. Like, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
That's fair. Now you said, speaking about storytelling and stuff like that, the fucking 4 Pillars match was, that to me was a highlight, if for no one else than MJF, because his vocals during the match were so fucking hilarious. God almighty, they were so funny. He was, he'd do anything and he would just go, what was it? Darby Allin, I can't remember what he was going for, but he went, no. And then like, what was the other fucking thing that he did? He did something else that was really funny. Darby Allin, I think, went for like a Stun Dog Millionaire or something like that. It was some move. And he goes, what the fuck? Like very loud. Like it was a reversal, and like he just goes, what the fuck? And bam, he hit it. It was so fun. Like they told such good stories during that match. MJF winning with the headlock takeover was poetry. Like him being as far as I'm concerned right now, MJF can hold that belt ad nauseum. He can hold that for as long as he fucking wants, because he is just so entertaining. And I look forward to the media scrums afterwards every single fucking time. Every time. And he talked about taking his ball and going home, and everyone thinks that means going over to WWE. No, it's taking my ball and going home. I'll take the belt and I will go home and do nothing and hang up my boots and be done. And I'm just like, this guy's a treasure. I love it. Now he's throwing in I don't want to fucking do this anymore. Fuck you. And I'm just like, he works all the different angles, and I just absolutely adore it.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how lucky we were to get MJF. Like, there are wrestlers that get propelled to the top because the company sees something in them. There are wrestlers that get propelled to the top because they get propelled to the top organically. Like Stone Cold and the Bret Hart match. When Stone Cold passed out in the sharpshooter, that helped to propel him more. The promo that he did at King of the Ring before, the Bret Hart match where he coined the Austin 316, that helped to propel him. But There's once in a blue moon where a guy comes along who you look at him and you go, where the shit did you come from? Because it's like you got out of bed one day, stepped into the ring for an hour and just went, oh, I understand this now. And they just fucking do. And they just get it. And they're great. And I feel like that's MJF. Like you said, Poot, winning with what did he win with? Headlock takeover?
Yeah.
Winning with a headlock takeover, like that is a genius heel move. Because for the fans, I can't speak for all the fans, but for me, like I've been conditioned to see heel work like, oh, okay, they're going to either take advantage of a situation and hit their finisher. They're going to do something swarmy like a low blow or hit somebody with an outside object or wait for someone else to hit their finisher. And then they're going to hurry up and like run in with a roll up and steal it. I never expect someone to win with such a basic, generic, janky-ass move like a headlock takeover. But I feel like MJF, when they were putting this match together, probably went to Tony Khan or whoever was, producing the match and went, I want to win with a headlock takeover. Like, hear me out. And he lays it out for him and they just go, shit, that's brilliant. And it works too. Like, it does. I don't know that anyone would have been like, oh, he won with the headlock takeover. That's so dumb. He's so stupid. Maybe a WWE mark would look at it and go, well, that's why AEW is failing because MJF wins with a headlock takeover. Well, your opinion's irrelevant. But, oh, man, like this kid, I hope to God that he continues to excel and propel himself the way that he has because he doesn't feel forced. He feels unbelievably natural and organic as a believable heel and a believable champion. I can't say enough good things about MJF, and I'll watch him wherever he goes. If he stays in AEW, great. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for AEW. If the bidding war of 2024 actually does happen and he does go somewhere else, I'll want to watch him there too, because we talk about, smart wrestlers and people being smart. I don't think MJF is, I fully believe that he is smart enough to go, you know what, anywhere that I go, you're going to have to understand the way that I work. You're going to have to understand my psychology, and we're going to have to collaborate. Like, you can't send me out there with a scripted promo. You can't try to, do this like, well, MJF's going to hold the title for 1,000 days because we think that number's fun. He's smart enough to know, like, hey, I got it. I understand this. And I think if he does wind up going to WWE, and again, I'm not rooting for it. I'm saying if he does, I feel like him collaborating with Triple H would probably be one of the best things that we could see in the WWE. Because I think both him and Triple H understand the business very well, and they understand how to tell a story. They understand how to make something work in the ring. And like you were saying, Poot, like with MJF yelling in the ring like he was, like, no. Like, you don't hear very many wrestlers doing that. There are a very slim few that have that sort of outward expression vocally in the ring. And when MJF does that, it just gets people to pop even more, and it comes off organic. It doesn't come off as forced. This dude he's dollar signs, he's money. And if I were Tony Khan, I would do everything that I could to make sure that this kid stays happy, this kid stays healthy, and MJF and AEW continue to make money together. Because wherever this guy goes, he's going to be gold. And I would want that gold in my company, not going somewhere else.
100%. Like, he is like, and I'm not, this is not trying to throw shade. This is not trying to like say anything bad. I'm dead serious. Punk leaving, not nearly as big of a deal if MJF fucking left. MJF fucking
this
left.
Juncture?
Oh my, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
MJF, like, it's he picked the right persona. Excuse me. He picked the right persona, the right gimmick, the right everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it just works all the time in anything he puts in. Doesn't matter who you put him in the ring with. Doesn't matter what program he's in. He just does it. And it never gets stale. Never. Like, it's never stale. It never feels schlocky. It never feels silly. It's always something really fucking great and interesting and cool. And boy,
Are you talking about MJF still?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And I think you hit the nail on the head there, Poot. Like, Punk leaving WWE when he did, I feel like that was a big blow for WWE. Good things happened to Daniel. I agree with Beef. Good things happened to Daniel Bryan because Punk left and because of the statement that Punk made. These fucking birds. But with AEW now, and again, I don't like to throw praise on CM Punk just because, whatever reason, I don't like him. He's a bajingo. MJF, I think, is more money now than Punk is. I think MJF is more valuable to AEW now than Punk is. And when 2024 comes around, if it came down to, I'm not saying it's going to, I'm just using this as a what if scenario. If it came down to like AEW is either going to lose Punk or AEW is going to lose MJF. AEW cannot afford to lose MJF.
Nope.
Simply because if MJF goes somewhere else, eyes are going to be on that product and he's going to spin gold, and he has longevity. He is so young. He has a lot, like you were saying earlier, Poot, he has a lot of tread left on those tires, where CM Punk, he doesn't have the tread that MJF has. And if Punk left and went to WWE, sure, eyes would follow and money would follow. Undeniably it would, because Punk does draw money and he does draw eyes. But MJF, at this juncture, I feel would draw more eyes and would draw more money, and he has the length to make that more profitable than Punk does.
I'd give you no, absolutely. Well, it's a generational thing. It's someone, tapering down their career versus someone who is still like new in their career. He has so many years left.
He's still ramping up.
Oh my gosh. 100%. 100%. And we've said it before, my only concern with MJF going to WWE is that, my only concern with MJF going to WWE is they won't let him be MJF. Like, that's the thing, is he has to have the reins. And if they don't give him the reins, then
If Vince, here's my only hesitation, I think, with Punk going to WWE. Again, a big if when 2024 comes around. Big if. Hold on. Had to hit a beverage. I don't know how much truth there is to that, or if that's just him stirring the pot. But let's just say, for instance, he does go to WWF. WWE? Oh, boy, I'm living in the Attitude Era. If Vince keeps his hands off of MJF, I think MJF will be successful. I think Vince would look at MJF and not really know what to do and try to WWE-ize him. Whereas I think Triple H, he's not as shut off to the rest of the world as Vince is. I have no doubt in my mind that if there was going to be a bidding war, Triple H does his homework. He researches MJF, he watches his promos, he watches his matches, he sees what he's all about. And I think if Triple H is given control over, maybe control's not the right word, but if Triple H is in charge of what happens with MJF, as opposed to Vince being in charge, of what happens to MJF, he could be wildly successful there, because I don't think Triple H will look at him and go, well, kid, this isn't going to, MJF and WWE isn't going to work like MJF and AEW did. Like, you've got to be something completely different. You've got to be the WWE version of MJF. I don't think Triple H is going to do that. I think Triple H is going to look at the crowd reaction. He's going to look at probably merch sales. He's going to look at, dollar signs. He's going to look at pay-per-view buys and things like that. He's going to see the value of MJF. And I think if Triple H were in charge, I think I think MJF would pretty much be the same in WWE as he is in AEW, minus some F words. Like, I think they'd probably rein that in just because that's like, their thing. That's their company policy. They're not going to let MJF go out there and throw F-bombs around. But other than that, I think Triple H will look at him and go, nope, you know what you're doing. You've got it. Let's work together and make a lot of money. My only hesitation is like, keep Vince away from MJF, because that won't go well.
Yeah. But
and again, I think MJF is smart enough to know that too.
Oh, absolutely.
So if he were to consider it, I think MJF is smart enough to know, like, well, I'm not going to let Vince neuter me, because that'll be the end of my career, and that'll be a very big whoopsie daisy. And I'm not going to be one of those young kids that Vince doesn't understand and comes in real hot, and then Vince goes, I don't fucking know. And then he winds up miring in, mid-card obscurity, because that's not where MJF belongs. MJF belongs in the spotlight on top.
Period.
Because the kid's, he's gold. He's money.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But do you guys just want to keep rolling, do one episode, talk about Night of Champions and all that jazz, or do you want to split it up?
Let's give the people 2 shows.
All right.
Shut this one down, Poot, and let's do Night of Champions after we have a nice little snack.
Shutting it down.